Merry Meet, Annie here. Welcome to Monday on Pagan Perspective. I had fun with the topic for this week, and I hope our viewers do too. The question from viewer Max was, do new gods exist? And if so, how do they present themselves? I had a lot of fun with this one. I really did, and it actually took me back to some really fun times in my early days of studying the gods. So first, my answer is, I say absolutely yes. I actually had to stop and think about limiting the reasons I think yes, because there are so many reasons I think yes. So I thought about the major ones, the reasons I would say that there are new gods. First, I do see that the wholeness of creation is ever expanding, ever growing, presenting itself in new ways, unfolding itself. So in the process of that, I do see new gods coming into existence. All the gods we can study or know about when we read about all cultures and throughout history, I think those are the gods that at that time and that place revealed themselves. But I think there would be countless and endless opportunities for humans to put these new faces on mystery. So if you think of the gods as, indeed, separate sentient entities, I believe, yes, they are born from existence and will continually be born from existence in all new and amazing and wonderful ways. And if you see the gods as our human attempt to put that face on mystery, to touch on something that we can't possibly truly understand, to humanize it so that we can have a relationship with it, well then, of course, there's endless possibilities for new gods. The gods that we study when we take on paganism studies of all cultures and throughout all time, they were at one point new. At some point, someone said, I am going to define a certain aspect of the divine and give it a name. It would be interesting to know the first time that every one of these gods and goddesses was born in that sense, wouldn't it? When I took on my first studies, in order to prepare us for the power of understanding the god and the goddess of Wicca, we were each told to more or less invent a god or a goddess for ourselves. If we wanted to have a partner, we could do both a god and a goddess. And it was taken on as an intellectual exercise that if we were attempting to understand some part of the wholeness, some part of mystery, how could we explain some of the things we feel and how we relate to it by creating a personality? It was a lesson, really, in the power of archetype, kind of our Joseph Campbell early training days. Although I think that was before his book came out. I don't remember when his book came out. I just realized that. So anyway, powerful experience when I did that. Two things we did in that process, it was all during the year which we prepared for our initiation, was we did introduce to others a god or a goddess or a couple that we had invented. And we also had to use our powers of creativity and tell a creation tale that had not yet been told. So I'm all about new gods and goddesses. It is a way that the universe reveals itself to us, and coming from our direction to the universe, it is our continuing attempt to make it familiar, at least to a certain extent. So I believe that new deities are possible both from, they are born from and exist in their entirety, and also that we create them as we need them. If you were going to create a persona for yourself that you could have a conversation with, sit down and look in the eye, that was the persona that loved you unfailingly, or the persona that told you, you're full of poop, get your act together, or the persona that was the loving father, or the persona that was the warrior that defended everything that was important. You begin with what you need, and you can create a persona around it. It's what it represents, and it's also how it fills your need And that's how I believe our gods and goddesses came to be. I don't mean to make that sound so dry that I think that our gods and our goddesses are nothing more than a symbol or an archetype. I am of a mind that they are born from that, but that we believe them into existence. That in our relationship, our continuing evolvement, our reverence, if not our worship, of particular God forms, God thoughts, that we bring them truly alive. We believe them into being. It goes back to the idea of egregore, that we believe in something and it becomes something separate from how it was birthed in our thoughts. I see the god and the goddess of the Wicca very much in this light. They exist to me as very specific energy forms and god forms. Could I give them a name? Yeah, my first coven had its names for them, the names that have been handed down to us, but it is not the specific names that are so important. What is important is knowing that they were agreed and believed into being by the energy and focus of the circle. And I believe we do that also at the individual level. We each decide whether those entities feel indeed divine, or whether we are envisioning an entity which is a little bit of insight for us into the vastness that we are always attempting, if we live a curious life, to understand just a little bit better each day. Max's question said, how do they present themselves? Two ways. We stumble upon them. We stumble upon them. We truly, in meditation, or in circle, or in conversation, realize that there is a consensus of a certain energy which we can then solidify into a shape we recognize. Or we make them up. How much of what we do in the end is not something that either we or others before us made up? Making belief. I think that is very, very powerful. When you can accept that it is so because you have said it be so, and you know what it means to you. Oh, the power in that, the creativity in that. You're being part of creation. You are manifesting energy and thought form. You are manifesting touch, the ability to feel and touch and be with the divine, to look it in its eye. I think the power of that is also, if you take away the human aspect of that, that when we have created a new thought form, a new energy form, indeed a new God form, we are permitting that wholeness, the ultimate existence to me of what the divine is. We have given it yet another avenue to experience its own existence. It broadens itself. It's not just about us to me. It's kind of a two-way street. So Max, I hope that answered your question. I believe that all gods were born at a certain time in a certain place out of need, out of something that satisfied what that community or even that individual needed. And I don't think that's ever going to end. The old gods were the new gods. The new gods will, in their turn, become the old gods. I do wonder, though, when you think about this modern society, are we creative enough? Do we have a deep enough need for connection to the divine to birth these new gods? That's probably the only point where this all gets very serious to me. Have we been permitting ourselves to create the faces of the divine that we need, individually and communally? And have we been, are we in this new age that we live in, permitting the divine to be born in new ways and therefore to experience its ever-widening self? Yeah, that's the part of it I find pretty serious. Where is our almost naivete, our ability to be curious and full of wonder and open ourselves up to the possibilities? Is that still in existence? I don't see it so much in existence in the communities I live in, but throughout the world and through all the cultures of the world, I wonder if it's happening in a way I don't see it surrounding me now. It's one of the reasons why the pagan community called to me so powerfully when I was on a search for what community, when it came to spirituality, meant to me. To talk to people who could have so many different concepts of how the gods were born, whether from the universe, from the entirety, the wholeness, and then born as aspects, whether they have always existed in their own individual sentient right, or whether we, in our human need, have created them. I love the fact that within our circles, even the ones dedicated to the same practices, no two people in that circle will have the same sense of what the gods can be. One last thing I want to mention. If we are looking across the width of the world we live in now, in our neo-pagan world, and we are saying, where are the new gods? I would say any god that we are currently revering that's historical in nature is a new god. We can't truly honor that god as it was honored in its time and in its place. We are viewing it from a contemporary perspective, and therefore to me, that's something old, it's new again. Very interesting question, and fun. This one is so much fun. What gods would you create? What gods have introduced themselves to you in your life? The possibilities are endless because mystery is endless. I look forward to your comments, and video responses would be great on this one, as it would with all of our videos here on Pagan Perspective. I think I can speak for all of the hosts that the engagement when you share your thoughts with us, when you like our videos and let us know you're interested in what we're saying, and when you share comments and video responses, it makes it worth it to us to be spending this time with you. We are very interested in your perspective. Pagan Perspective is not just about the perspective of your hosts, including hosts and sub-hosts, in that it is your perspective that makes this vital and interesting. I wish you all mirth and reverence. Merry part.